This video is sponsored by Mekarina.
Miss Meyer likes me and wants to go out on a date. Huh? I don't know how to date.
It's crazy to think that people have a problem with this. Yeah, you read the title correctly. The old dude from Up is finally getting his groove back, and people got mad about it, as they've clearly never finished the movie. Like, I get it. Up is hands down the best love story Pixar has ever made, showing the timeless power of love and loss and how the simple act of being together was the greatest adventure either of them could have asked for. Carl and Ellie's love story is so good that it carried the rest of this goddamn film. Yeah, here's my one hot take. Take out the prologue, the rest of this film is mid as hell. But buried beneath the "it's just fine" syndrome, this is a beautiful story about grief and acceptance, and I think that is so important. As while there's a million love stories about finding true love, there's very few about what you do after it. So let's break down the best short film Pixar has ever made and how people are losing their mind over nothing. First though, I gotta share the good word of my sponsor, Mekarina. Look, Mekarina is my jam. If you give me a robot with guns, rockets, and intense PvP battles, I am already sold. Mekarina hits different as it's a mobile game that feels like an actual game. A rarity, I know. But add in the fact that it's free to play, has amazing weekly tournaments that you can compete in and earn sweet rewards. They are one of the best ways to get resources to upgrade your mechs and weapons, and they are also the only way to go ham and play in a free-for-all mode where there's no teams, but there is all mayhem. All you need to compete in tournament matches is a ticket, which you can earn by opening crates or buying them in the in-game store. Where once you're there, you can seize assets, kill enemies, and earn points that will all contribute to your battle score. This will go a long way to increase your tournament ranking, where if you get enough points, you'll get promoted to a higher rank the following day, where you can earn even greater rewards and face even stiffer competition. But don't worry, you'll only ever be pitted against people that are at your level, so you won't start playing and immediately get humiliated by toddlers. Or if you want to just host a game with your friends, you can start one. It's that simple. With heavy metal and style, Mekarina is an absolute delight. If you check it out right now for June, they're celebrating the LGBTQ+ community, offering players a chance to get Pride-themed skins for free via gameplay. Later in the month, they're introducing an epic sci-fi themed event, bringing spectacular new maps, the chain gun, Scorpius, and a new heavy-duty pilot with an awesome, unique look. Mekarina is completely free to play. It's on iOS, Android, and PC, and you can use my personal link in the description or scan the QR code to get bonuses worth close to $30. We are talking a 1 missile rack 6, 1 Prodigy crate, and 1 skin to help kickstart your game. So don't wait around. And if you're quick, you can add me on Friends, and we can play a couple matches together. Check out Mekarina, get those free goodies, and you'll have a blast. But now, back to the video. So Up is one of those films you can't talk about without getting into spoilers, but honestly at this point, that's your problem. Shit came out in 2009. Yeah, it's that old, I'm not gonna worry about it. Now Up in the beginning baits you into thinking that this movie won't break your heart. Starting with an old-timey film about some bozo in a blimp, we watch a young Carl pick the wrong hero and get hyped up about being an adventurer, being giddy all the way home, till he gets distracted by vandalism and screams in ye old fuck no abandoned house. However, being at the young age where he's both scared and stupid, Carl goes to investigate, in what would turn out to be the best mistake of his life, as it's here that he meets Ellie.
What are you doing? Ah!
Now this is Ellie, a tomboy with the same bad inspirations as Carl. In spite of your first worst assumptions, she isn't homeless, instead taking her hyperfixation to professional levels, decorating the abandoned house as her own personal club. Covering the walls in newspapers about the explorer, playing make-believe that it's all an airship, she demands to know if Carl is tough enough to make it in the salty splatoon. But realizing her mistake that she is instead scaring the crap out of this kid, she changed her approach, going from demanding to know how tough he is to reassuring him that they're friends now, gifting him with a bottle cap pin and immediately proving that she's a hazard. Carl has known Ellie for 30 seconds, and she's already broken him. That's impressive. But after he gets his cast, Ellie sneaks into his house to give him back the balloon he failed to get. Hanging out with the quiet kid, she convinces him to make a promise that will only haunt him for the rest of his life. Showing off her adventure book, she tells Carl about her dream to go to Paradise Falls, to build a house there and to have all the adventures, none of the malaria, telling Carl that it's up to him to take them there in his hot air balloon. And then she just dips.
You know, you don't talk very much. I like you.
Right off the bat, these two are adorable. Carl, not counting the time he booed his idol's haters, never talks once when he meets Ellie. The kid is shy and quiet, having no idea what to say. At first it was because he thought she might bite him or do something crazy, but Ellie, for all her high energy and exuberance, recognizes Carl as scared and immediately starts to include him, pushing him out of his comfort zone to... mixed results. However, just like Luca and Alberto, the shy kid wild child pairing is always endearing, as it doesn't matter which one you were, we all had a friendship like this, with this one day permanently changing Carl's brain chemistry as he decided he was going to make this the rest of his life, as the two would go on to get married, with only some of the family being disappointed. Here though, for as cute as they are, you can see the mental hole that the two of them are digging themselves into, as going beyond just building a life together, they keep doubling down on the first day that they met, buying the abandoned house, renovating it into their dream home, always keeping the memory of Paradise Falls close. And the music is so iconic that most of you can still hear it. And that definitely is an excuse for why I'm not playing it to avoid copyright. However, together, they start living their best lives. The house turns out great, with Ellie helping her warrior to find joy in the little things, like turning an accidental handprint into a treasured memento. Things were never easy, but they always thrived, till they jumped the gun, deciding that they wanted all the kids, immediately setting up a nursery, only for that to become history. As yeah, infertility. It happens. Unlike adoption. But together, they're able to overcome even this crisis. With the plans for the rest of their life being ruined, they find comfort in the idea of Paradise Falls, of going on an adventure. It gave them a renewed sense of purpose and a small joy to look forward to. The only problem? Money, as working at a zoo doesn't pay much, but they love their job and save their money, till life kept telling them nah, or just really fuck them in particular, having to keep using their rainy day fund for personal crises, yet they still had each other, taking it one day at a time till those days became the rest of their lives, growing old together with their love never wavering. Until one day, an old Carl realized they never did take that trip, deciding better late than never, he buys them tickets. But like always, life has a way of blindsiding them, as on the day Carl was going to tell Ellie about the trip, she had a medical emergency, which put her in the hospital and then the box, leaving Carl bitter and alone, as after the love of your life, what's next? So Carl handled it decently, all things considered. He devolved into a gruff and isolated old man, becoming set in his ways and refusing to move on, treating each memento of his life with Ellie as an irreplaceable treasure, as he found comfort in each small memory. Which sounds nice in theory, but in practice, Carl became an old crotchety dragon hoarding his treasures with no goal besides preserving the past, even as everything else around him just continued to move forward, something made obvious by how everything around him was being redeveloped. The man is dead set on dying in this house. A small hiccup in that plan comes when a construction truck accidentally hits his mailbox, sending Carl into a panic and striking the man who did it as he tried to apologize and fix it, with the big money jumping at the chance to drag Carl to court, getting him declared a public menace, and forcing him into a retirement home. So with nothing left to lose and still desperate for closure, Carl rips his house out of the ground and tries to fly all the way to South America. The only problem? Child abduction.
Please let me in.
No.
Functionally, you get the picture. Ellie was the love of Carl's life, and he didn't know how to keep going without her, with his old personal regrets hijacking his grief, so he thinks that moving his house will somehow fix the gaping hole that is Ellie's absence. They always wanted to do this, and he hoped it would bring him peace, as he equates the home with Ellie, regularly talking and referring to it as such. But shockingly, the true answer to Carl's problem was the thing he least wanted to do, getting out of the house. Through his misadventure of having to deal with Russell, a Boy Scout with his own daddy issues, all on account of the divorce and the man not being there as much as Russell needs, Russell and Carl are now trapped together, with the two of them working together to get this rickety box of memories to Paradise Falls. And along the way, Carl meets a giant bird, becomes a dog dad, and finds out his idol is Cray Cray. Carl's journey is a lesson in coming to terms with his grief, that it's okay to finally let go of the past and Ellie, that just because they never took the trip they always wanted, didn't mean that they didn't go on an adventure. It's taken Carl a while to get this, as he prioritizes this house over everything, even more than the life of the other living things around him, as he abandons Russell and this bird thing to move the house to its new location, only to realize that it still feels empty. And it's here that Carl finally opens Ellie's old adventure book, where he discovers that his wife has already filled in some of the pages, as being with him was the adventure. Which, yes, he never checked the book. He also couldn't face his grief, so this metaphor makes sense. But it's here that Carl is able to finally let it go, to stop living in the past, to stop being a hoarder, chucking all of his mementos out of the house as he needs to line the thing so that it can fly and he can go rescue Russell and the bird, confronting his dark reflection in the old man who somehow looks younger than him. Now this guy, just like Carl, suffered a personal tragedy. But while they both doubled down, Carl was the one who was able to finally stop playing, letting go of his obsession and getting rewarded for it with life. He's dead. And Carl straight up steals his house. Really though, that's just the bonus to saving Russell and Doug, as it's really these two that drag him to change his life, as it's making these connections that stitch up that hole in his life. Nothing major at first, but getting out of that house, forming these little connections, all these things ground Carl in the present, instead of just trying to hold on to a memory. Carl finds new responsibility in taking care of Doug, looking after Russell, becoming the surrogate father he never had the chance to be. It's the beginning of a brand new adventure for him, and that enriches his life. While Carl is never going to fully get over or stop missing Ellie, he still needed to allow himself to keep living. Which is why I find any noise about Carl's date to be just so unserious. The whole fucking lesson of the film is that it's okay to move on, to have that new adventure. Yes, Ellie and Carl are the best love story that Pixar have ever made. But Carl going on a single date does not damage or affect that love story. In fact, I'd say it makes it even better, as there's so many stories about obsessing over getting the girl or finding just that perfect match. But there's very little media about what happens later in life. Like yes, people will tear up and nod when they hear about an old couple that passed away within days of each other. But that ignores the very, very real reality where one partner will pass away and the other will just live on for another couple years, which obscures the important idea that old age doesn't mean that you stop living, and it doesn't mean that you stop making connections. While it is easier to put Carl and Ellie in a box and to view him befriending Russell as a nice bow that puts the whole story together, that we can be happy knowing that Carl was going to be okay, really think of it like that is making the same mistake that Carl was making. It's asking Carl to deny himself future happiness out of a perceived loyalty to a memory, when really, you gotta keep looking for that next adventure, and to keep loving and finding joy with those around you. And I saw the short. It's adorable. Nothing insane, but it's a fitting ending to Up as a franchise, and a goodbye to Carl's voice actor Ed Asner, who passed away in 2021. You may not like it, but this is the perfect way to end the story. So naturally, Disney is gonna remake this movie in the next 5 years. Alright, that's all she wrote. Like, share, and subscribe, yada yada yada. Remember to use the link in my description to check out Mech Arena, earn great rewards, and have even greater fun. Check out my sponsor, Mech Arena. Love you all. Peace out.